Welcome to GraceFully Educated podcast, the place where we blend faith, wisdom, and growing with grace. I'm your host, Shavonne Carter, and I have the absolute pleasure. I know I say that every week, but I guess every week it is a pleasure, it's an honor and a joy to sit with the guests. But today, I have Miss Shavonne Carter.
Hi, everybody.
So, Miss Carter is the bomb. When we first met each other, we were working in the district together, and everybody would say, Miss Carter, Miss Carter. And they would get us confused on which Carter. But she was my actual boss. And so I would be like, I think you're speaking of my boss, not me, and I always had to steer them in the direction of you. Working for her was an absolute pleasure and joy, and you guys will see why during our the bomb conversation that we're about to have. So, Miss Carter, thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
And what got you into education?
So I actually started out as a business major.
Okay.
My undergrad was human resources. So I went into human resources and I was interviewing a gentleman. He came in, he was young. I could hear his headphones all the way behind the desk of the receptionist and into the other room. And so the thought that came to me was, he's not doing it because it's inappropriate. He doesn't know any better.
Wow.
So my thought was, now I know what I want to go back and get my master's for. I want to be a career counselor because I want to be a part of the solution and not part of the problem. Mm-hmm. So I went back. My goal was to go to Rider, get my master's in counseling, and I took that career counseling class. And Dean Campbell said, career counseling starts in kindergarten. So I'm like, so I switched from being a career counselor to then being a school counselor, and then the rest is history.
Wow. So you have your master's in
school counseling.
In school counseling. I love it. Mm-hmm. I love it. You was like, listen, you in here with these earphones. Like, we gotta switch things up. We gotta switch things up because you're not gonna come in here and do that. So where has your primary, where have you been working at? What have work been like for you as a counselor in education?
So I started out as a high school counselor. I loved it. But then there were some cuts back in 2010, 2011. And so then I was part of that, unfortunately, because of budgets and things of that nature that were coming from the state. And then I ended up being an elementary counselor. We're actually elementary and middle school. So it was like pre-K to 8th grade. Mm-hmm. That was a different ballgame. Walking from high school where it's like, I call it like, high school is like Macy's.
Okay.
The shoe department does their thing. The clothing department does their thing. They don't intertwine.
Right.
At elementary, it's like Walmart. So like, 1 minute you get your car, you get an oil change for your car. Now you get some clothes, and you get your nails done. Like, it's all over.
All over. And glasses.
It's a lot. So being a school counselor at the elementary, pre-K to 8 level was tough. It was almost like being an administrator, but not having administrative training. So it was a lot. But again, the goal is always to make sure that the kids have what they need and to meet them where they are.
Right. So give us some successes in your career, because education is different, and being a counselor in education is different. I had a counselor on a couple weeks ago, and she was telling me about the challenges, because she's in the Trenton district. So tell us some of the highs first before we go to those lows.
Yeah. So I had a student. She was, I believe at this time she was in 10th grade, and her attendance was questionable. To the point where I thought that if it kept going in that direction, she wasn't going to graduate. So this was at the time I was a high school counselor, and I, worked on getting to the bottom of it. So first she said, "Oh, it's because I don't have breakfast." So I literally brought breakfast to school. I'm like, "We're going to eat breakfast. You're going to come to school." And so she came in, we would eat, and she was still coming late, and I'm like, something else is going on. So then we started talking, and she's like, "All right, my older sister has to work. I have to watch the baby."
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, okay. So then I started talking to her about what's important to her family. She was Latino, or she is Latina because she's still alive. And she was just telling me how it's important to make sure that they take care of family. That's important to them. I'm like, okay. So now I got to figure out how to have this conversation with the mom that has that goal versus also making sure that she graduates. So eventually I was able to get mom in. We talked about it, walked it through, and I said, if she graduates, she can better help the family.
Right. Yeah.
So let's see if there's any challenges, because the thing is, if her attendance is not well, there's a large possibility that she will lose credit and she won't graduate. And mom didn't equate the two. She's like, oh, you come to school, it's not that serious, but every day you have the same class. If you miss that class, you will not have credit.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so mom was on board. We were able to figure out another person in the family to watch the baby, and she, was able to graduate. Actually was laid off prior to her graduation, but she contacted me on Facebook to say that she graduated and that she had honors and she had perfect attendance.
You know what? That's making a change. I know. That's making a severe change in her life.
Yeah.
I know I said we was going to talk about the lows, but before we get to the lows, I want to just pause for a second and talk about our students who contact us on social media. I have so many students that contact me on Facebook, and I am so proud of them. What has that experience been like for you besides her? Is there any others?
Yeah, quite a few. So I'll put her on blast. Taylor Pickett Stokes.
Taylor, you are on blast.
So we, communicate on Facebook here and there, but she is doing amazing things. And for me, it puts a smile on my face because I'm excited that they're moving forward, and that anything that tried to stop them didn't get a chance to do it.
Because you were that interceptor.
Yeah, so she wasn't on my caseload. It's interesting, but I was the dance team coach.
Okay,
so that's a whole separate caseload of students. So she was like basically one of the leaders on the dance team, and she is doing amazing things.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. I love that. Some educators open themselves up to allow their students to follow them. Sometimes I think it's the Christ in how we live as Christians versus those educators who, and that's nothing, no judgment, but like decide to live their life and be like, I don't want my students following after that part of me.
They're like separation.
Versus some of us, I know a lot of my coworkers used to be like, why are you letting them follow you? And I said, because I live a life that, anything I don't want on socials, I don't put on socials, right? Yeah. But I do live a life that I want my scholars to inspire to be like, and so in order for me to be an inspiration, I need to make sure that they see me outside of the school as well, so that they can be successful as well, so it can be a challenge. So now tell us a low moment that you've had in education with your scholars.
So I had one student where I did everything I could ever think of to try to get him to graduate. I'm talking, we had classes for him on Saturday to make up days because he was missing so many days of school. He needed seat time. And he just squandered it. Wow. And I'm like, so at that point, I realized I know I had done everything, right, and he didn't graduate with his class. But again, it's interesting how it all worked out. That year that I wasn't there is where he went back and he took all his classes all over from scratch, graduated. I went to a restaurant and his mom was working there and she's like, he graduated. She's telling me all the things and how happy she is and how grateful she was. And I'm like, like that was my only student. Right. Like, that was my only student that didn't graduate, and that really like hit me. I'm like, ugh.
Right.
So that was a tough time. I did also have a student where before he even made it to senior year, he made a decision that he wanted to leave school. He turned 16. He knew the law. And he started, he was respectful. He came to me. He talked to me about it. And I'm like, are you sure? Mm-hmm. Like, is there a reason why? Like, there was nothing that he said he had no reason why he was doing it. And then eventually we ended up meeting with the vice principal with his mother, and he signed himself out. And that it's always the goal to hopefully, that he'll do what he needs to do at some point, whatever he needs. But that was tough.
Yeah, I can imagine. Because then you become a dropout, targeting a job. Because right now, it is like, in McDonald's, you need a high school diploma, not unless you're in school.
It's tough.
It is tough. So I hope we wishing him well wherever he may be. So Miss Carter, how do you, I'm sorry, I'm still calling her Miss Carter. I should be calling her Shavonne, how do you blend your purpose with your career? Or do you think that your career is a part of your purpose?
Yes. So one of my giftings is bringing order. Right? Okay. So
like Deborah bringing order.
Okay. So like my first name means God is gracious. My middle name means judgment. So like there's a balance. Gotcha. So usually I'm in places or in sections and areas of disorder. Mm. So that's usually the goal, to make sure that I do what I'm supposed to do while I'm there. So whether if I'm a school counselor role, my goal is to make sure that my kids have everything that they need. There's no question about, barriers so that they can do what they need to do. Then there's free will. Just pray that the seeds that I planted are well. And then as a supervisor, my goal is to equip my staff with what they need. So there's no questions about how their kids are supported. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So you're blended because you're pretty much just walking in it. I love that for you. Yeah. Child, my name mean orchard garden. And I'm like, I got all these kids. You think wait, I'm sorry, but my mom should have named me that mean one child, okay? You make me think about my name. Oh my goodness. Yeah. No, but I do believe, I'm able to plant seeds and see them grow. So that's pretty cool. I met you as a supervisor. I did not meet you as a school counselor. So how did the transition happen? Because you're walking in purpose, right? So how did the transition happen from school counselor to now you are a supervisor of counselors?
So it happened while we were still remote.
Okay.
And I'm going to be honest, I had applied to multiple administrative positions, and it went from I didn't get the position to a whole season of, you're so great, you made our decision so hard, but you still didn't give me the job.
When I tell you I can relate.
So I took a pause. I didn't give up. I just said, I'm tired.
Right.
Like, this is too much. Every rejection is a little bit more. I just need a moment. So I stopped applying. And I got a call from one of the ladies at my church. And she's like, I saw these 2 positions and they look like they would be perfect for you. And I'm sitting on the phone like, I hear you. But I respect her. So I'm like, okay, I want to apply for the position. So I applied for both supervisor positions. One was moving super fast. And I'm like, oh, I want to get a chance to interview for the other one. Like, they're doing the most. So I did get it. So what happened was they lost their funding. I didn't want that to happen. But they ended up losing their funding. So then they stopped the process. So then it allowed me to actually get to the first interview of the other position, which is where we met.
Oh, okay.
So I interviewed, got the position. And I think it happened when it needed to happen, because if I was in the building, it would have been tougher. Because to go from being with the kids all day, every day, to now I don't see not one student, that's tough. Yes. That would have been rough for me. So the fact that I was seeing them kind of intermittently or online, I think helped transition it to the supervisor position. I would say at first it was tough, because at first I would say we, like I was one of the counselors. Yeah. And you kind of have to shift your language, shift your perspective, because one, being in that role and having so many responsibilities, you can't be as hands-on as you would prefer to be. Yeah. I got to go from being, what did I say, basically a worker, to being kind of like having a balcony view and making sure that everything is where it needs to be. So it was definitely a transition. And
you did it well. I mean, I don't know if I'm supposed to be like giving you all of these props or whatever, but you was so good, Miss Carter, at what you did, because like what made you an exceptional boss is that you knew, like we knew, look, I'm getting goosebumps. We knew as a supervisor, you were able to lead us without making us feel like we were like submitted to authority, if that makes sense. Like we knew we were submitted, but you led with such a grace that even though we knew we were submitted to authority, it didn't feel that way. Because we didn't feel like, oh God, here comes Miss Carter, or Miss Carter's going to make us do this. Or it was just, I mean, at least for me, that's how I felt, right? I was like, anything that you needed, you calmly told us. You told us how to, how many weeks we had or days we had to get it done. And I appreciate that. How do you think that you became such a great supervisor? Because I know I'm not the only one that gave you kudos for that.
So I would say, because each leader has their own like leadership style, and I would say my leadership style is servant leadership. Got you. So for me, even if I'm supervising, I'm still with you. Like to me, it's a team. Yeah. So we all have our part, and then the other piece is, I think when I sit down to the table, I'm not saying you just need to do this. I usually tell you why. So the kids need this. I've noticed this. I've heard you say this. We need to do this. So it's like I bring them through the process. So it's not like I go from one thing all the way over here with nothing in between, and they're just like, oh, this is a mandate or a directive. No, this is planning and this is execution. So what advice would you give to supervisors, because we do have some watching, that struggle with getting their team on board because they have stiff-necked people that don't want to humble themselves? Yeah. Go ahead. So I think the first thing, one, is taking time to build relationship. Yeah. So I think leadership, administrator 101 is, one, you need to build relationships. That was the one thing that was really honed in on during my principal program. And then the other piece is you need to learn what they do, because you can't really respect it or understand what is needed if you don't even know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. So some people come in and assume what's happening, or they come in and they change a whole bunch of stuff. That no, you come in and observe first. So in that observation, making sure you're building relationships. So when I first came in, I did like meet and greets before I started. So I had like, times that they could sign up for. I would meet with them individually. And most of it was really me just waiting to hear from them what was important to them, learn about the district, and how I could help them. And that's how I closed it out. And I'm like, I'm not here because I think I know everything. I'm here because my role is to help you.
Right.
And that was from jump. That was before I even was fully in my seat.
You know what? That is like, I think what you just said, every teacher team lead should take that advice. Meet and greet with your teachers that you're going to lead. Every vice principal can take that. Every principal can take that. Every district administrator can take that and apply it. Because I think sometimes we forget in education that our role of education is just not to be educators. Our biggest thing is relationships.
Yeah.
And building healthy, solid relationships because they go a long way. Yeah. What do you think about like building? Like I heard you say that, but I guess what's some challenges to building relationships?
Some challenges would be probably differing opinions and assumptions are bad. Mm-hmm. So for instance, there was a staff person that I worked with, and I held like a workshop, and what I noticed was that what did she say? My job is not to love the students. My job is to teach them. I'm like, that is quite contrary to what I believe.
You see my face? Yeah.
But so rather than saying, oh, this person is horrible, okay, this person is coming from this place for a reason.
Right.
Like I always believe that something is happening for a reason, and it's not that somebody is just not well. So I started understanding the person, spending time with them, and then I led another workshop on purpose. They didn't know, but I led another workshop to talk about, what is that thing called? Basically breaking down, de-escalation. So we talked, and I started out with saying, the first piece before you even de-escalate a problem is that you have to understand that it's not about you. And it was like I took the air out the room because that's usually what happens. We come into a situation, the student might be cursing or saying whatever or throwing something or doing something that's not well, and now we're thinking that it's at us, and now we're reacting not because we want to react that way. We're reacting because we feel like we've been hurt or something has happened to us. It literally is not about us. Like at all. So going into it, saying that, and then we broke it down. They're like, oh, so talk more about that. So we went into it deep by deep, that beat. You just kept swimming down. By the end of, I would say, that month, that person's connection with students changed.
I love it.
Because like people are not coming to school with clean slates.
Yeah.
People have stuff going on.
Yeah.
So like one day I was sitting in the conference room when I was a counselor. Student came in. I just so happened to be on the first floor by the vestibule. He comes in with this unhappy face, and I just noticed a lot of things. So the student comes in, and I'm like, his face looks different. Mm-hmm. So I said, what's going on? He's like, my mom is hollering at me in the car, and whatever, because he always has a smile from like ear to ear. And he's like, and then she sends me in here, tells me to have a good day. That doesn't make any sense. Like, how can you holler at me?
That's not my day.
Out of the mouth of babes. So like, so he's like, how can you holler at somebody and then tell them to have a good day? And I'm like, you ain't never lied. Right. So we talked about it. He calmed down and he went back upstairs and looked like his normal self. Because you gotta meet people where they are. You never know what somebody is going through before they hit the door or before they come into the place that you're occupying. Never.
And I think that sometimes we have that old school mindset, like they're just kids and they just gotta come in and do what I say.
Yeah.
It's a no. It's a no.
Oh, they will do what you say if you meet them where they are.
That's key. That's key. I think more educators should be taught in every district de-escalation strategies and restorative practices.
For sure.
I remember did you bring that to where we were at?
Yep.
Okay.
Restorative practice.
So that changed. Like I had been in education for maybe 12 years before I got the restorative practice training. That changed the way I did education. That changed my interaction with every student, with every person, because it teaches you relationship.
Yep.
And you brought that to our district, and it changed it. Some people were fighting against it. This is dumb. Sure. I don't like. Why are we spending money on this?
They should just do what we said. Yeah.
Right. But we see right now our education system is failing because people don't want to build relationships. They're so key. They're so key with the students. That's simple. What's going on with you?
Yeah.
Would make the difference.
What happened versus what did you do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you offer trainings to people? Like, I feel like it's bigger than education. You should do like churches and stuff.
I've been thinking about what consultation would look like for me, but this conversation is helping. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I haven't done anything outside of education.
I think you should, Ms. Carter, because relationship is so key in every single area. And a part of your assignment in this world is to bring order. And in order to bring order we bring order and we serve God in what we do every single day. Every day you walk into the buildings that you work in and you serve God by serving his people. And that's marketplace. But I feel like a lot of leaders should definitely take that.
Yeah, because I'm thinking back to when I was a counselor. I was doing my principal internship, and the assistant principal was like, I need you to teach people what you do. Because he's seeing how I'm having a conversation with a student and how the student is now all over the crazy place because we have a relationship versus somebody else basically causing that student to escalate. And I'm like, I don't know. I hear you, but I don't know how to do that. But now I think I have a different skill set. I think I'm closer to that, what he was asking me to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So where are you now? Like, what's your career trajectory now?
So right now I'm actually transitioning from public education to working for the State Department of Education. And so I'll be in a specific department helping with assessments. And I'm excited because I think it will be a higher level of influence. I think that's important, making sure that I'm able to put in, my voice in spaces and places, and or even if it's not voice, even just, any edits or any, support that could be provided in different areas. So I'm excited. And I know, there's so many different areas to the Department of Education. So sky's the limit, I think, at this point.
Girl.
I'm excited.
I love that this is a place that I can just be myself because it's our podcast. But I love how God has your trajectory. You go from, why am I feeling emotional? But you go from in the schools to then supervisor, making an impact in the district, because now I'm a supervisor over the schools, to now state. Now I'm going to make an impact in the state. Your voice is, no, you'll say, I don't know, no, your voice is going to be what says order. We need you at the state level. We need you at the state level because some people in those positions are just there. They haven't really been, I don't think, to the spaces that you've been. But God kind of groomed you. What are you looking forward to most about this transition?
So I'm looking at it professionally and personally. So one of the things is usually in whatever job I'm in, I'm like 5 people. 3 to 5 people. And so I'm looking
forward to being
like 1 to 2 people. Being more like a normal person versus all over doing all the things. So I think that part is what I'm excited about. I feel like there's more balance. Like we work 2 days virtually, which I think is great. Not that I'm not working, but it's just a different kind of atmosphere, the process of getting up and getting ready. But I'm excited to learn. I know that the processes there will be very different. I have no idea as to what they look like. And for some reason, it's exciting, which I'm grateful. I'm not nervous. I'm not anxious. I'm not scared. I am super excited. Like, I feel like I just want to go in there with a notebook, like,
right.
What is that? How does that work?
Right.
Because it's like unknown. Nobody really knows.
Yeah. And I know somebody in the state now. You can't tell me nothing. I'm a caution mom. I don't know if she had in this department. Know what I mean? I'll be like, Pamela.
I probably know who does, though.
I'll figure it out for you. I love that, Shavonne. Oh, my God. I'm proud of you, and I'm excited about your next. Because I know your next is going to bring a great impact in the people that you serve, for real. If you had some words of encouragement, a push for people in education, and I actually want you to speak to there's no limit in what you can do, because I just spoke about how your life been in education, right? So if you can give some encouragement to somebody like me or someone else that's like, I'm just in this and I'm stuck.
So when I would say revisit on a regular basis why you got into education, and do whatever you need to do to get back to where you were. So burnout is real. And so for me, at one point I was a counselor 10 months, and then I was off in the summer. And one summer I had that opportunity to work at the ESY program. And so as a counselor in the school of over 500 students, I was all over the place. I had multiple hats. I was tired. So then in the summer, the ESY program is much smaller. So I was able to work with students individually and do one job, not 3 to 5 jobs. And it gave me energy. When I left the program, I came back to school with a smile that left. And so I checked in with someone, and they met me with the smile. And so they ended up being my accountability partner. So when my smile started to dim, they're like, hold on, where's your smile?
Right.
And so then I would tap back into it, because it's tough. Like, you basically grit and bear, and at some point you get to a place where you feel like you're just surviving. And so you have to go into that space and find the light. You have to find the space, your smile, the reason why you came there, and have an outlet in some way, shape, or form. And self-care is possible. It's not just something we talk about. It's not something we flash up on the TV. It's literally possible. And I think what also goes along with that is trusting. So for me, I had to realize that staying up all night long and working all weekend long is not me trusting God. And it's also me not taking care of myself. So I had to shift to a point where I would come to work one day and stuff would be done by somebody I never had a conversation with. I didn't have to put my hand on it. It was done because I trusted God and I went to sleep like I was supposed to.
Wow.
So self-care is always important, because if we're not taking care of us, we can't take care of our kids.
Wow. I hope you guys grab what she said, because that was some good thing. And the key takeaway that I'm taking away from what you're saying is self-care and trusting God.
Definitely.
Self-care and trusting God. What does self-care look like for you? So, Ms. Carter, Shavonne, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
For having this conversation with me. It has been a pleasure to know you and a pleasure to sit with you today and learn more about your story. And I'm sure if I ate, the people ate, right? Because on this particular episode, we definitely blended faith, wisdom, and learning with grace. If you like this content, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you share it, because if you like it, someone else like it as well. And thank you so much for joining us here at the GraceFully Educated podcast. Have a great and amazing day. Bye.